Eric Denny just texted, he's running a minute late or so.
Okay.
And Chief Burkhart will be a couple minutes late from work.
He usually gets out of work.
Yeah.
It's on about 10 after.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube.
Great. Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
I think we got everybody. Everybody okay? Good to go. All right. Welcome to the April meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners of North Greenwich Fire District 1. Everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence for deceased members from Fire District Number 1. Thank you. All right. First, before we get going, I'm not Dan, for those that hadn't realized that yet. Dan had a family thing that came up last minute, and I talked to him about an hour or so ago. He has to drive to Rhode Island and back tonight for a family thing with his son involving COVID. So he's not going to be able to be with us tonight. So we'll make do without him. So we'll start with the roll call, please, Sean. Or Bob.
Rich.
I'm here.
Brian.
Here.
Dave. Dave.
Dave's here. We know.
Here.
Yeah, I know. Nick.
Here.
All here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. As I mentioned, Dan has a family thing that popped up tonight. So
Got it noted.
we'll hold the public session until the end of the meeting. But we would encourage anybody from the public that is watching on the YouTube that you can send email to Bob. Jump in with the email address.
Yeah, the admin assistant at ngfd.org, and it's on our website.
Yeah, just any emails that you might have, any questions you might have, comments you might have, please get them into us, because we're trying not we're going out our way to try not to limit public comment during these COVID meetings and these Zoom meetings. So anything you have, please get it into that email, and Bob will act on it and bring it up at the end of the public session. So we'll move into the district building report. I don't have anything. David, do you have anything with regard to that? Or have you gotten anything from Joey?
I've talked to Joey a couple times. I'm not sure if he's on tonight. We're going to set up a meeting with the department first, and then we'd like to schedule a meeting with the engineers to start laying something out on our plans. But we're hoping to get back together again now that we're able to meet in the station and stuff.
Are you going to do that with a whole department meeting, or are you going to try and meet with the e-board, or what's your plan?
He's developing a new committee for the building committee itself. A lot of the guys that were on it before are still on it. We're just putting it all together again because everybody kind of got walked away from it all.
Yeah, it's been a while since we were able to work on it with Ernst. So it's good. So get that information going and get it flowing. And if your president appoints a new committee between now and then, and you guys want to get a meeting going, I certainly have no objection to that. The sooner we get going on this, the better. And we look forward to hearing from and more on it. So thank you. Neither of the presidents are on, so we'll hold the president's reports until I don't think I heard or saw the Wine School president yet. I know Eric's running a little late. No Wine School president. We'll hold off on president's reports for now, though. Approval from prior month's meetings. Minutes. Everybody had the minutes in your Zoom mailbox and had an opportunity to look them over. Were there any comments, questions, edits, or otherwise?
I have just one edit under the DFT Chief's report. References Chief Tucker. I believe it's Chief Tooker, Tooker.
Yeah, he might appreciate it. I'm sure he doesn't read our minutes, but he might appreciate it.
Oh, it shows I actually read them.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Bob, you got that?
Yes.
Minor correction?
Yep.
Anything else? All right. Consider a motion to approve the minutes as presented or as edited.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Plenty of seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All in favor there? Wave your hands or something, guys, please.
Aye.
Thank you. David, speak up or turn your camera on or something. Any opposed? David's fighting with his camera.
No, I'm good.
Okay, there you are. Thank you, sir. All right, that's good then. We'll move on. Treasurer's report, please, Sean.
Okay, the checking account for the general fund has a reconciled balance as of March 31st of $52,060.23. It earned $1.14 worth of interest for the month. And the money market account has a reconciled balance of $2,312,878.39, earning interest of $19.87 for the month. Of that amount, $785,528 is the general fund. $1,273,465 is for capital reserve equipment. $201,684.11 is capital reserve building, and $52,200.15 is capital reserve repair. And then the subsequent documentation are copies of the reconciliations, as well as copies of the bank statements, the two bank statements, the checking account and the money market. Then after that, you will find a copy of our expenditures month to date, or year to date, excuse me, compared to our budget. And we're still well under budget because we're early on in the year. And then the final 2 pages are the chief's expenditure reports, and I emailed those out to the chiefs on Friday.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
David, is Mark with you? You said he would probably be over.
Yep, Mark's here.
Right here.
So I'll make sure he got that report, and that he doesn't have any questions on it. And when William comes on, we'll make sure that he is likewise satisfied with it and understands what's going on with it.
Sure. Okay.
Consider a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made, motion seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Nick,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
Dave.
Aye.
Okay, I see both of our presidents have now joined us, or the president of Wynotskill and the vice president of DeFreesville. So we'll jump back to president's report. Let's see, it's an even month, so we would normally be in Wynotskill this month. So Adam, you want to go ahead with your report, please, sir?
Yeah, I don't have much of a report. The only thing that I got to say is we've been following the new guidelines that you guys put out very well. Our monthly meeting went efficient. The only thing I wanted to reach out to you guys about that is not really a topic of discussion, but everybody is upset that there is no food at the monthly meetings. I was looking to see if I could possibly do like a pizza or something along them lines at our monthly meetings, but I kind of wanted your opinion on it to see which route to go, or should I go with like I did before, just have them order a dinner at a restaurant and have that kind of take place just as a appreciation thing. That way they don't forget that we don't forget about them. You know what I mean?
Okay, Adam, that's a great point. I know that I missed DeFreesville's meeting last Thursday because I was out of town on a family engagement. But having talked to people that were there, I know they did food. So this goes back to the consistency issue that we've talked about before. I don't know that we specifically prohibited food or specifically allowed food, but they did food. And one of the comments that was made to me by one member and also by one of the other fire commissioners was that everybody was diligent about wearing their masks until the food came out, and then they all sat back down at the same places that they had, been so diligent about wearing masks at during the meeting, and took their masks off and ate their food. And the question came up about, what are we doing here? So I think you ask a good, solid question about what are we doing with food. It ties back to what we're doing in general with some of the COVID procedures. I will tell you that, excuse me, I'll tell you that Dan Garib and I had a brief conversation about that this afternoon on the phone while he was driving to Rhode Island. I'd like to bring that up further in the meeting as we address, does the policy or the procedure that we wrote last month still apply? And can we further loosen? Do we need to further tighten? Does it need further revision? So I think that's, as we identified last month, it's clearly going to be a document in the works for a while. So we adjust as we move forward. So good point.
Yeah, I kind of thought we were all going to be on the same page. That's why I didn't do food, because we weren't all on the same page. And I'm trying to stick to that. Everybody be on the same page. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll get that, if that's the only thing we do with regard to the COVID tonight, we will resolve that. But I have a feeling that we'll be able to accomplish more and discuss more as we talk about it a little further down. So if you got to jump off for whatever reason and aren't going to be there for the later discussions, please let us know. If not, we'll handle that as part of our business a little further down.
No, I'll be on for the whole meeting. I just, my guys have been being great about keeping the mask on. We were a little rocky in the beginning. You know, you got a couple of the young guys that walk around with it on their chin, but now they're following it pretty strict and taking it serious, because we all kind of want it to not go away, but be able to loosen up. So I think, you know what I mean? All our guys think if we stay on the tee and stay in the course, that we'll be able to loosen up here and there, you know what I mean? And be able to get back to our normal routines.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
So
Anything
that's
else?
it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, very good. No new members, before I forget?
No new members, no. I know Marky Mark has some stuff that he would like to talk to about, so I'm not going to steal his light, but I'll also be here if he needs some assistance on that. So we have some stuff that we need to get figured out on the pipeline, but he's going to bring that to you guys.
All right, we'll cover that in our chief's report and get your input if we need it then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric, what do you got for the Freesville's report, please?
Not much to report. Unfortunately, with COVID and everything, we still have no new members to be bringing in. We are been following the guidelines, the revised guidelines as put forth by the district, and haven't been having any issues that I'm aware of. I'm sure William would mention if we did on the firematic side of it, but things have been going well. We did have our meeting in person. We had about half a dozen remote individuals that took advantage of the Zoom link. I don't remember off the top of my head what the in-person quantity was, but in the 20s. We did Timmy O had done a good job of setting everything up and measuring, and kind of gave us a not to exceed number based upon the layout of the room and whatnot. And we did not hit that, and we were good in following that. And in regards to the other topic, food wasn't excluded or included, so we erred on the normal, this is what we normally do, and went down that road. So if there's, we can talk about, you're going to talk about that later, so just let us know what to do. And PJ is still plugging along, and we hope to see him soon, but we'll see what happens.
When you talk to him again, to make sure he knows that he's in the thoughts and prayers of everybody from the district, as well as the fire company.
Yep. Sure. Will do.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we took care of the president's reports. I got to make extras. So Danny's good at this stuff. I got to learn to flow with it yet. So jump back to the approval of the current month's invoices. Everybody's had an opportunity to look over the list. I went quickly through all the invoices here tonight. I had one or two minor questions that Bob quickly answered and provided the detail I needed, but I saw nothing wrong with it. Anybody else? Consider a motion to approve the month's invoices. Actually, since I'm the one who reviewed them, I'll make the motion to approve the month's invoices. Any second?
A second.
Seconded by Brian. Any discussion?
Rich, it's a resolution.
Yes, thank you. Resolution.
Yep, that's all right.
Thank you. So that would require a roll call vote, please.
There we go. Rich,
Yes.
Brian,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and Nick.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. That's all taken care of. Correspondence, please, Bob.
Yes, we received Key Bank FDIC insurance assets ending in 2/26/21. We received a check from our Durivage for a phone purchase for $149.99. A check received from Brian McCray for a phone purchase, $69.99. We received DFD's LoSAP 1 and 2 year notifications from their secretary. Tim O'Brien signed off on the claim form for the damage that he had to his mirror. We received a client advisory from Hannigan Law Firm. We received a small credit from Bank of America at $3.59. This was just some account adjustments that they had made. We received a notice from Janice Kerwin from the town of North Greenbush regarding the Memorial Day ceremony, which is going to be just the wreath laying at the memorial sites. And we also received a refund check from George Stokmasian Agency in the amount of $1,185. This was the refund credit that we received from taking off on our policy the older command vehicles. And that's it for received, and there was nothing sent.
I don't think I've ever heard of an insurance company sending a fire department money. That's kind of unusual. Let's take it. That's
Yeah,
good.
we get them off as soon as we can, so we get to
Good job.
know.
Good job. Good job. Very good. Nothing we have to do there then. I see no old business listed. Anybody remember any old business that didn't get listed? None? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Discussion on labor law 27C emergency plan. That's for those that don't recall, that's the required continuity of operations plan for contagious diseases for municipal entities, which I've become incredibly familiar with over the last last month or two. But I'll let our attorney speak with what he may know on this one and any new information that's out or any information that's out there on it. Terry?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any new information. I have what we had proposed in the absence of Department of Labor regulations, which are forthcoming, we understand.
So it's Christmas.
Yeah. The fact that you've even got one available to you for discussion puts you in a very, very select group of fire districts in this state. It's again, we prepared a template, which is our best effort at this point, and sometimes no guidance is best. To the extent that the district needs to have something, I think this will suit your needs. To the extent that it may not be the last iteration of this document or what you have going forward when Labor Department regulations come out. If you adopt it, you can at least say you have one, which is more than most other places in the state will be able to say.
Yeah, I think we need to look at that one as it compares to what we're doing now and as interim measures, because I think it takes a broad jump, and it may be a broader jump than what some of our people are anticipating, expecting, or are comfortable with. So we're going to have to look at it from that perspective. I will say that to quell any fears that are out there is that when the state passed this law in September of last year, there was a carrot and a stick kind of thing. The carrot on the end of this, the carrot was that you'll be eligible for future state funding, and the stick was if you don't do it, we're going to beat you with the stick, and you won't be eligible for state funding. Well, fire districts historically get little or no state funding at all, so there's really, besides the Labor Department taking a punitive action against us, I don't know of anything they could do, and based on the fact that they haven't provided any guidance yet, I don't know that they would do that. Municipalities, on the other hand, I just got done working with a town out in central New York that was very concerned that they were their main fear, and I don't know how it came about, but in speaking to a couple of them individually, their main fear came through the highway department, that they were worried they were going to lose their what's called CHIPS funding, which is a federal pass-through actually of money from the state to the locals for taking care of highways. And that would have been a substantial chunk of money to them, and they were very, very worried about losing that, so they wanted to have a plan in place. So I think as we talk more tonight about what we're going to do going forward, that will roll right into whatever we do with our continuity of operations plan for COVID. And to the chiefs, I don't see William on there yet, although I don't have a whole list in front of me. But I know Mark's out there with William's on there. Good.
Yeah.
David, or William, Mark is out there with at Dave's place, and William's on. You guys did, by all measure, as outstanding a job, you and your assistants, as outstanding a job as possible with the continuity of operations of the fire district end of it. And the presidents did equally a fine job with the continuity of operations plan for the fire companies and the role that they play with along with the district. So when the time comes to sit down and write our plan, it's just going to be a matter of sitting down and writing down, codifying what it is we've already done. And there's going to be very, very few T's that left to be crossed and very few I's left to be dotted. Would you agree, Terry?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think we beat that discussion to death, and we can talk more about that when we discuss.
Did Rich just seize up?
I think it was.
I think the whole
this-
station lost its Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
You guys can hear me at all?
hear you now.
And Bob just vanished.
I closed off. Am I back on?
You're on, Rich.
You're
You're
good.
there.
Okay. I don't know what you last heard me say.
Meeting adjourned.
No, not that. Okay, so I guess we're done with labor law 27C. All right, next item on the agenda. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the zero tolerance for the alcohol drug policy. It's our policy number 0207, 2008. And essentially, I don't know that we have do we have a new draft of it out? I didn't see it if we did. But essentially, our policy addresses alcohol use in the fire district as far as our zero tolerance policy, the 8-hour rule, if you will, and how that's all going to be managed. And some concerns were raised, legitimate concerns were raised with not just the fact that New York State passed a law allowing recreational use of marijuana, but I guess the concern was the speed in which that will be turned on. Are we going to have time to appropriately evaluate that law and what it means to the fire district and how we should revise our policy? So again, I'm going to toss the football back to Terry to give us some information to start the discussion.
I miss Dan. Anyway, this is something else it's fluid at this point, but there are some ground rules that we're going to work from. What you guys were proposed doing with this policy is basically just taking a measured step expansion of your alcohol policy, because unlike the old days when marijuana use or abuse was measured quantitatively qualitatively with the presence of THC, quantitative was somewhat secondary. The information we're getting is that will no longer be the case. THC, which I can't even remember what it stands for, remains the marker for that's detected in the bloodstream for marijuana use. So that's no longer going to be the indicia of someone being under the influence, and it's going to be more of a subjective standard, kind of like the common law DWI standard. If someone is visibly under the influence, then you can take action against them. But it's no longer going to be, hey, I think this guy was smoking pot. Let's have a blood test done, and there's THC in his bloodstream, ergo there's a drug abuse problem. What this causes a whole host of problems for the fire service is on a couple of fronts. One, that we don't know what it means with respect to driving, either to the firehouse or apparatus. So you theoretically could have someone who is a legal consumer of marijuana, who has THC in their blood system, they get in an accident. If you don't think that the people that they're involved in the accident with are going to make a huge stink about it, you're naive. But whether you can across the board prohibit anyone from the use of marijuana, again, it's not covered in the legislation. The cops don't know how they're going to enforce it, other than the visible under the influence factor. There is one major caveat, though, and a shameless plug, there'll be an article coming out in the next FASNY magazine. Marijuana is still a Schedule I drug under federal law, which means that it doesn't matter what New York State does. There are certain federal requirements and federal prohibitions that will can cause a district or a department to lose federal funding if they don't enforce this aspect of federal law. Just ignore what you see about the border now, but realistically, you have to comply with federal law in order to get federal funding. The other big thing that no one has mentioned is that under PSOB, okay, that's the line of duty death benefits, okay? If the person that's reviewing the application for PSOB benefits has a suspicion, and it doesn't require any more than a suspicion, that the person who is the decedent or the injured party or consumed marijuana or was under the influence of marijuana on the date or near the date of the injury, those benefits can be denied. So those are probably the two most compelling reasons I can give you. One, the federal money, and two, the PSOB. That's one for the district and one for the individual. Why, we should discourage our people from, partaking in marijuana and coming to the firehouse. I just can't tell you how long, you have to not partake, because there isn't a measurable, there is no metric now for quantitatively measuring it. I would say this, if, in the short term, if, for the chief officers or for firefighters who happen to be tuned into this thing, if you suspect that a firefighter with you on a rig or is under the influence of marijuana or under the influence of alcohol, you would do what you would do under this policy and alert an officer. And for those officers, I would suggest that you, to the extent you can, try to capture it on video, because the standard is going to be visible impairment. And if you're going to discipline, then you're going to need something. It's not going to be at least for the time being, it's not going to be a blood test. There's no breath test per se. It's what you and I and a reasonable person would think that the conduct was. So there's a whole bunch of, and I drew quite a bit from Bob's expertise in the law enforcement side. When we talked about this, there's just not an answer for how this is going to happen, other than people, refraining from using marijuana, and you can't legally tell them they can't. But I suspect if you wanted to use the federal prohibition, that would merit a legal footing for you to say, hey, you're not allowed to use it. But from a firefighter to a firefighter, I think the PSOB thing is probably the biggest thing. And again, the feds don't have to give you, they don't have to explain, they don't have to accept New York's law in this thing.
Wow.
Federal program.
I hadn't thought of the PSOB one in looking at this, but I look forward to reading Brad's article.
It'd be very helpful.
David, Nick, Brian, any thoughts on it?
I don't understand all of it, between marijuana and cannabis and all the other titles that they have on it as far as how it's going, but I think we have to trust Terry on the direction on this, just to make sure we're doing it the right way.
Yeah, the PSOB one is big, because if trace marijuana can be in your blood for, I've heard, anywhere from 30 to 45 days, somebody goes away on vacation and smokes a couple joints, they go to a Caribbean island and smoke a couple joints, and they come back and 3 weeks later they're involved in an accident with a piece of apparatus, and it's still in their blood. That screws up their PSOB. Wow, that's a huge chunk. That's a huge hit. Plus the exposure to the district for them being in an accident with the district vehicle and having trace in their blood.
Do you think there's going to be a guideline for something like that as far as time? That if you decide to go on vacation and get high, that you'd have to stay offline for whatever length of time?
I'm going to defer to Bob, but I think the THC is somewhat person specific, isn't it? The ability for it to remain in the bloodstream.
It is, and it's going to obviously remain for many days, if not weeks.
Okay, Bob, can you bring up that document that you
Yes.
started to a minute ago?
Yep.
Thank you.
And just while he's doing that, you can, there's an important provision there. No alcohol or marijuana shall be on the, put it on the premises. You can, tobacco is legal too, but you can restrict the use of it on the premises, not just in buildings, on the premises. Alcohol, same thing. And you can control the use of alcohol on the premises.
Mhm.
I think, I'm hoping this turns out to be a monster under the bed that creates more fear and concern than practically speaking, it causes. But there was just no consideration given to how we're supposed to treat this with respect to people who, in life and death, job situations. So.
Yeah. I can see the reason for controlling it in the station even more so than the alcohol, because anybody that's ever been to a crowded concert knows that there's such a thing as a contact high. And just, so I mean, it's probably going to be a no smoking in the station at all, even in the members area of the station, where we do allow our members to have a cold beer once in a while. Not non-COVID days, but so I can see a need for that. Nick or Brian, anything? Any thoughts?
No, I'm just, I'm concerned about, just, put 8 hours in there. I mean, the hard part is like, everybody's already saying, it's in your system for a very long time. And I'm totally naive when it comes to the testing. I assume if it's in there, it doesn't matter if it's 1 day or 45 days or 1 minute. So that's gonna be kind of hard to enforce on the officers. So I'd be curious to see how you could even enforce, the suspected use. Granted, video maybe, but it's a tough one to prove. But it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't have you gotta have a policy.
I don't
it's
think
just-
we need to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say it's just something that just seems like it would be hard to enforce.
Yeah. I don't know that we need to adapt this policy tonight. I think.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking out
No,
loud. Things I'm thinking about. How do you?
My thought on the policy tonight, somebody tell me if I'm off the rails on this one, is that we ask the two chiefs and the two presidents to, the chiefs take it back to your company officers or your fire officers, and the presidents take it back to your respective executive boards and say, hey, this is what the district's looking at. And in the interest of inclusion, we want your feedback on this. And tell us if we're going down too harsh a path. Tell us if you think we're going down too easy a path. Tell us if you think we're going down the right path. But again, keep in mind that there's so little information out there that we haven't made a decision to do anything yet. This is just the preliminary guidance document that we're taking a look at. But I would ask the two chiefs and the two presidents to give us some feedback, if you can, at the next meeting from your respective constituents as to what their thoughts are on it. Any other board members think that's all right, or think good idea, bad idea?
I don't think it should be that decision coming from the departments. I think you have to look at this as come up with a policy and say it's forbidden. And if someone turns around and decides to do that and gets caught doing it and causes an accident, the liability isn't on the district, it's on the individual that decided to do it.
I tend to agree with you, Dave, but we're not letting them decide the policy. I'm just suggesting that we get some feedback from them, so it's not a draconian thing that we've just implemented it with them, and so saith the Board of Fire Commissioners. I'm just looking to get some inclusion on that and some feedback from them as well, and that in turn will lead to buy-in when we do it, and hopefully make it get down a smoother path.
Yeah, I mean, like on my end, this is like to me like the minimum. I mean, it's a controlled substance like anything else. Like having a beer, it's legal, but it's not in the firehouse doing certain things. Prescription medication would fall under all this stuff. So I don't see why marijuana wouldn't be any different than the alcohol or anything else.
And I think when Terry's article comes out that he spoke of before, I'm sure that based on what he said to just us, it's going to have a portion of it dealing with that PSOB benefit, and that's got to be a huge consideration to people because that's PSOB is not why people join or stay in the fire service, but that's something that they look at as one of those benefits that's out there. We're in a very, very dangerous job. Should something bad happen to one of our people, that's one of those benefits that's out there. And if it can be jeopardized by recreational use of marijuana 3 weeks before something happening. Wow, that's huge. That's a big one. So I think I'll refer this to the two presidents and the two chiefs just to get a little feedback. In the meantime, the rest of the board, all the board can take another look at it. Terry, do you have any idea when that article is going to be published? Hit the road.
It's early May. It's May, June-ish, I think.
Okay. So we should see, again, this is not something we got to jump up and take action on this month or next month, because even the way the law is written, the growers and the dispensers have to come online. They have to be vetted and legalized, and there's a whole process. And I think the last I saw was the soonest they expect to see recreational marijuana on sale in New York is sometime late summer. I may have read that wrong, but it's gonna be a while before there's actually physical marijuana on sale in New York. Now,
The concern is, Rich, is that it's open season now. And we don't care whether it's sold in New York or sold in Massachusetts from wherever. There's been a titanic shift with the legislature saying, okay, it's okay now. Okay, cigarette smoking is no good, but marijuana smoking is okay. I think this is going to be kind of a hybrid of alcohol in the firehouse and the facial hair thing. Okay, people who are conscientious about wanting to be interior firefighters and comply are going to do it. People that aren't need to make, if you want to grow a beard, fine. You're not an interior firefighter. If you want to smoke pot, then maybe you shouldn't be an interior firefighter. I can't predict where it's going. All I can say is, there's so many unknowns here that if people are interpreting this as it's open season, I can smoke pot with impunity. I suppose you can, but you're not going to be flying my plane, and you're not going to be going into a fire with me if I know about it.
Well, if that's the case, in a stepped measure, what if we were to say, effective immediately, no pot is allowed on the premises in either building, in either facilities, and that the 8-hour rule applies for now, and then we take it further and see how it comes out through,
Hey, Rich, can I say something?
who's that? Adam?
Adam,
Yeah, jump in there. Jump there, Adam.
just as a line officer, I really like that idea of putting that into effect right now, because like everybody has said, it's going to be very hard for us to judge yay, nay, was it, you know what I mean? Just as a line officer, I really like that you coming up with that policy right now, because that kind of puts us in a better spot that if it is caught with it, or they do look like they are on something, it kind of gives us a little bit of leg to stand on. Right now, if we don't have nothing in effect, it's marijuana, but we still don't really have nothing to fall back on to say to them, well, the Board of Fire Commissioners said from 7:00 tonight on, it is not allowed on premises, you know what I mean? It's so on and so forth. And I really like that idea as a line officer standpoint. You know what I mean? It really helps us and puts it in perspective for us.
All right, that's good feedback. Thank you. Bob, I apologize for not having read in deep into this document that you provided as I probably should have. Does this document go much deeper than that?
No, it doesn't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. All that I did with this, and I did send it over to Terry, is because things are still kind of undetermined and vague, as the board and Terry and everybody else has discussed, that I just inserted marijuana in the areas that would make sense based on what the limited information we have right now. I think going to what Adam just spoke of and just providing some type of enforcement for the district and the fire departments.
All right.
We really don't, there's not a lot else you can put in here right now.
And that's consistent with Dave's comment earlier about the district should be providing guidance. Brian spoke on it. Nick, you're quiet on this one. Any thoughts?
The only thing I see, Rich, is the videotaping. You know, our policy is, no cameras or photos at the scenes. I think we should have, if it's an officer or chief or, the senior guy who's driving, whoever that drove, that should be brought to him and let him make the discretion. Should they, videotape the said person? And that's about all I see, but.
There's nothing in this policy about videotaping. That was,
No,
Terry-
I know Terry brought it up. I
that
just
was Terry's
was saying
comment on
that,
how, yeah.
proving it's the hardest part. You see him come in the station, oh, he looks high. Maybe he's just tired. It's a tough call there.
If he's tired and he's got munchies, he's high. If he doesn't have munchies, he's not. I don't know. It's going to be that subjective, though. That's what worries me about this. Is it's years and years and years ago, we had a member, an very active member down in the Freesville, and I mean, his nickname was Goofy Grass because he'd come in the door and you never knew. But he was smart enough to stay off the fire truck when he had been partaking, so it just I mean. Wow, this is going to call for some real adulting, this policy and the further renditions of it down the road. With all that being said, I'd consider a motion then that the board puts this a policy into approval into play tonight, and make it formal. Give it to the chiefs. They can display it or put it up in the firehouse. The chiefs and the presidents can explain it to their memberships as appropriate, and we'll take an action on it tonight then.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by David. Do I hear a second on it?
I'll second.
Second. It's only a motion, so all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposition? Okay, it's in the policy is in play, and chiefs and presidents, you've got something you can disseminate, and Bob will get that to you in writing over the next day or two, and in a finalized form from what you saw on the screen a few moments ago. Thank you all. Good discussion. Let's move on to chiefs reports. Again, even month, so we'll go with Wine and Skill. Mark, you're out there. What do you got for report, sir?
All right, you got my copy of my monthly report for March. The update on our COVID vaccines, I gave it to Bob. We got 47 that are vaccinated, 6 that I know of right now that haven't got it yet, and we got 4 in process, so we're pretty good. The other thing is I'd like to thank the department or the commissioners for the use of the building for the COVID vaccine clinic. They did 82 of the Pfizer in 2 days. They did 42 shots of the Moderna in the 2 days. And then they had one day where they got the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, and they did 30 of them. So they did, a good number, probably close to 150 some vaccines over the course of the month. So, and they were very, very thankful for it.
Okay.
I've had a couple of purchases. Bob has most of them right now. I need 3 lanyards for truck 42, 2 of the extra large ladder belts and 2 of the 2X ladder belts and 10 tarps. Bob's got that paperwork. The other thing, Bob, I'll get paperwork to you. We had one of our PEDS BP cuffs get broken, so I'll have to take and purchase one of them. And I wanted to double check with you on the 9-volt batteries and the AA's. There's a special battery for the SCBA's.
Yes.
Could I get a package of each one of them?
Yeah, let me, I'll get those for you because we need to buy them in quantity.
Right, okay, if you would. Truck 42, the bucket air regulator has been replaced. That was replaced a number of years ago from Garrison. They were able to get it and it was installed, so we're all set there. Everything with the truck is up to date. Last month, email was sent out by Chief Littlefield about an incident we had at Vanderheiden. I attended a meeting with the new CEO up there, Karen Carpenter Palumbo. She took on a big headache when she went there. There was a lot of things that weren't done or weren't followed through. She's working through them now. We actually got the alarm pretty well set, so we're in pretty good shape there with that. She's very receptive to us, and she wants anything that we can do to take and help her or help us. She's more than willing to take and do that. One of the things she does want to do, and we'll work on that later on around fire prevention time, so that they can do something up there for the staff and the kids up there about fire prevention, what we expect, what we're looking for, and things like that. So that conversation went very well. The only other thing that I got is the aerial testing has been moved up. It's going to be done this Wednesday, the 14th. I'm just trying to find out the exact time on that, and we should be set. And I know I got the information to you on the apparatus, which I know will be coming up later. If there's anything else you need or any corrections I need to make, let me know, so I'll get them squared away for you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Chief Mason by anybody? Hearing none, we'll move on to the DFT Chief's report. William, you out there?
Rich, excuse me, Rich, are you gonna approve the purchases at the end of DFD's report? Because he does.
Yeah, I presume DFT is probably gonna have some things.
He has one thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do it all at once, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just make you aware, I talked about East Screamish Fire Department last month about using our station to you guys, just to make you aware that they want to utilize the station on May 11th and 12th, just to make you guys aware. We'll review the policy with them and make sure that we have some members around for them, just to make you guys aware. My report isn't very big today. So Bonnie sent you the monthly reports. In addition, the district chiefs will be having a meeting again. So we'll be organizing our purchases, the further purchasing for the rest of the year and from there on out. I sent you guys an email about DOT, the construction and what was going on with that and how much of a mess that's been to us. The fact that we're going to have to call in temporary mutual aid at times for this is maybe an ongoing issue throughout the summer, especially when we get the Route 43 project started. We're going to be crippled on this side of town getting anywhere possibly just due to the amount of construction and ripping up the road. So, and right now they have two projects obviously going on Route 4 with the Route 4 in Blooming Grove, and they just started the circle, I believe, today. So, and that's the end of my report.
Yeah, thank you for the updates on that, William. Being somebody who lives right in the middle of that, I can't tell you how bad the traffic is trying to move around down on Route 4. So those that haven't experienced yet, first off, you're incredibly lucky. Second off, I had to take an engine through it in the middle of the one lane closure, and I know how tough that was. And then on the way home from that incident, I came across an accident that had just happened, and I wound up standing there directing traffic for most of the accident. Well, because the accident was caused by the backup of traffic. So you can imagine what it's like. It's just mind-boggling for those that haven't been through it. I was at town hall today, and I'll add one thing to William's report that he might not have had the most current information. It appears that the water project on 43 is going to start within the next 2 to 3 weeks, but it is going to start on Geyser Road somewhere in the area of the town beach. And then they believe from there extend to 43. So we'll be able to kind of monitor it as they go, and we'll know when they're getting close to 43, and we'll have that feeling for when they turn the corner and start coming west on 43 towards the Route 4. So it looks like it's going to start on Geyser by the town beach and extend south to 43, and then come west on 43 is the current plan. So we'll have a better grasp on that. Nothing else, William? Anything else to report on?
Nope, that was pretty much it. So
what was the
hopefully-
one purchase that Bob referred to? Is it the hands-on for Kylie?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So we got Bob. We got the three. Go ahead and describe the purchases, and we'll take action on them.
Okay, so wide scale purchases are the three shock absorbed lanyards, $315. 4 of the pack mule ladder belts at $700. 10 all-purpose tarps, $79.70. That's a total of $1,094.90. And DFD's training approval request is for Kylie Katunya going to the Fire 2021 convention in July, and she's looking to take 3 courses there at $1,005.90.
Not to discourage her training at all, but have we gotten any training requests from DeFriesville or any from at all from Winneskill with regard to that conference?
On the DeFriesville end, we reached out and we haven't heard back from anybody else other than Kylie, but it's open to, we've left it up on the board for the membership to see, and Assistant Chief Galligan's talked to several people, and that's the only bite that we have so far on our end.
Okay. And Mark, I presume you've done likewise?
Yeah, we reached out over there. We'll meet again tomorrow night for drill. I'll reach out to them one more time and see if they're interested. And if not, I know Dave and I are planning on going down to the show. I'll get my paperwork over to Bob tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd like to go too, but I don't know what the dates or anything else yet. So I got to look at my schedule, but I'm not going to be taking any of the hands-on training. That's for sure.
July 14th through the 17th it is.
Yeah. So we still got time to get applications and requests in. So it's not like we're under the crunch, but I don't want anybody to think that we're excluding them. So at this point, we'll consider a motion to approve those purchases that Bob's listed.
I make the motion.
Motion made by Dave. And here a second out there.
I'll second.
Seconded by Nick. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any non-approvers?
Rich, sorry, Rich. We usually do resolutions on purchases.
Oh,
I know, I'm sorry.
no, Sean, you're supposed to turn on the light in the corner to let me know that before I say something stupid. The light will be on all
I
night.
will, when you see the hands waving, that means resolution.
The light, yeah, all I see is that picture of you. I don't see hands at all. I just see a static picture of you.
I don't think I've ever looked any better.
All
I
right,
got a
so
full head of hair under that hat.
I apologize. We'll redo that as a resolution. I'm going to presume that the resolution and the second still remain. Nick or Dave and Nick, yeah, okay. So roll call vote, please.
Rich,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
thank you all.
How about that? The same result. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Sean, for keeping me
Yep,
on.
thank you.
On to committee reports, apparatus equipment needs committee. I got a couple things here that I need to discuss. First off, last week we did our mid-construction review and inspection at the factory. There were 8 of us, I want to say, in attendance, and it was probably one of the most productive couple hours that I think we've seen in a long, long time. We went through both rigs. Both are, I won't say they're at identical stages. They aren't. They were at different stages, with some things being ahead on one and not done on the other, but other things being done on one but not the other. So it allowed us to see a variety of things. So because they got 2 teams building them, they're not side by side. There's another truck positioned in between them, but they're comparing notes constantly. And it looked like it was and the way the factory manager described it, it's a pretty healthy competition between the two teams building the trucks. So that's going very, very well. We did see a lot of things that we liked. I'll leave it to others if they want to comment otherwise or supplement that comment. But as typical with a mid-construction, we found a couple things, additional things. Ooh, wouldn't it be nice if we did this? Wouldn't it be nice if they did that? So we've got a couple change orders that have come out of this one, mostly minor. One of the challenges that we've got is over the last few months, there was money in the contract, money in the contracts for these trucks for things like shelving, for lettering, for things along that line. Well, we spent all that money. And we did the shelving the way we needed to do, and we blew the shelving allowance. Our lettering package that we use, and we have done nothing that exceeds any of the current apparatus that we have, but the lettering package that we use exceeds their basic lettering package. So we went a little over on that. Then there's been a couple other things. When people saw it, it was like, yeah, we need to add an outlet here. We need to add lips on the shelves. Bob, you can scroll down towards the end there. You'll see some of the ones that were the most recent ones. Keep going. There we go. Up. All right, you can start. Go back up a little bit. You see, starting there with 323. That's when we finalized our lettering package, and they credited the lettering package that they had originally spec'd. versus what we finally agreed on. So you can see that we paid a little more for some lettering. Go ahead and scroll down, please, Bob. So you picked up the emblems on the back doors, big cost item, but that's something we wanted on both the rigs. And now you can scroll down a little bit. We picked up some, but deleted some with regard to wiring of like the thermal imaging camera and the radios, that kind of stuff. I don't want to call it a wash because I think we wound up paying a little bit money in the end. But we did take them our flashlights and our spanner wrenches and hose wrenches for the LDH and all that. And the chiefs in the committee laid out exactly where they wanted them mounted. So we got to pay for that. We got to pay for that mounting. That's stuff that we had figured we were going to have to pay to have done up in Boston Spa when the truck came into to Vandermolen up there. But instead, we're having it done at the factory, and it's being handled there. There were a couple minor adjustments to in front of the officer that the committee wanted. The way that the cab was laid out, to the shelving and the space in front of the dash. I'm trying to keep going down. We talked about here you go. We'll go to the bottom. The bottom two items. One thing we had thought about is we had spec'd specifically a specific deck gun for both rigs. And if you recall, we went with the external mounted suction relief valves that they're the on-off valve for the suction, and they're also the relief valve, so that we wouldn't have those built-in ones that become problematic when they need repair, and we wind up taking the truck out of service while it's waiting for parts to fix a valve. These we can just take them off, put a cap on there until it gets fixed, and then put them back on when they're fixed. They're exactly the valve we wanted, and they're exactly the deck gun we wanted. However, they only come in fire engine red, and they look really, really good on DeFrisco's truck. And I'll leave it at that because they look like crap on Wine and Skill's truck. And initially, I had told Jacob, we'll just paint the deck gun. We'll just paint the deck gun. And then later, in like an hour later, somebody brought out one of the valves to see how that would look. And that's when we found out that Wine and Skill's valves would be red. And we got a quote, and we asked them for a verbal while we were down there. He said, they're going to be about $1,000 or more a piece to paint them. And he's worked up a quote that they're going to be $1,260 a piece to paint them. And I told him I wasn't going to authorize that down there. And I kind of expressed, I hope I didn't disappoint too much to others that, I really don't know. That's a lot of money. I'm going to have to talk about that with the board. But I had the opportunity to drive home from the factory by myself because I had to go to a different location. I went up 81, had to go to Central New York for something. And the more and more I thought about that on the drive, the more I thought of how crappy that red valve looked on the side of that green truck, and that wasn't what we want to represent here. So I think to do it right, and what they're talking about for those valves is they don't just want to mask them off and paint them. They're going to take them apart and paint them right, so that they're actually done right. They're not masked. Then they're going to reassemble them and retest them to make sure that they work properly. That's the reason for that cost. So the $320 is for the $320 is for the deck gun color painting, and the $1,260 is the valve painting. I had initially told him that we'd probably be painting the deck gun the same lime green as the truck. In talking to Adam, he thought that the valves would look better in the blue to match the stripe because they're about the same level as the stripe, and they provide a nice accent. I would think that the deck gun would also be in the blue at that point too, because that's up high. You really can't see it unless you look, but I think it would look better in the blue as well. So what's the board's feeling on those two items? Anyone?
I wasn't there. I would go with what Adam suggested. I wasn't able to make the trip because of work. So, I mean, if he thinks it's gonna look good with the striped to be blue, then, go with what the chief suggests.
I don't know that anybody took a picture as to how hideous the red looked. I was kind of worried it'd break my camera. It looked that bad. Brian, your thoughts at all? Brian must be having.
Turn your mic on.
David, your thoughts?
Sorry, I was unmuted. I had a pop up on my screen at the same time.
Ah.
No, I mean, I get the idea of the color change. I just, if I read that right, it's $27,000 more on the change order. Is that correct?
1,200 apiece. There's two valves, one on each side.
Right now, I thought I saw on the bottom where it said the overall change order was like 13,500 per.
Yeah, that's a running total. That's the total change order from what the initial contract price was on the truck.
Let's make sure, Sean's okay with, the money's there. That's,
Matter of fact, Bob and I discussed this briefly before the meeting while I was trying to get set up on my computer here. And between him and I, we've managed to get a copy of the contract price list and all the change orders over to his computer. And that's what he's showing you on the screen, actually. And he's going to share that with Sean and make sure that they're good on it.
all right. Thanks.
David, your thoughts on it? You were there. You saw it.
Yeah, it kills me that it's that much money to have them painted. But again, to make them right, they need to be done. As far as the lime yellow versus blue, I think that's either way is fine. It just kills me to spend that much money to do that. But we had kicked around the ideas of having a body shop do it and have them mask it off and tape it without taking them all apart and everything else. But I'm okay either way with it.
Okay.
Whatever's easier to make sure it's done right.
Yeah, one of the questions I asked myself when I was thinking about it on the drive was if it was reversed and somebody was telling me I was buying a fire truck that's worth more than $500,000 and it was going to have crappy looking valve on the side of it, what I would think. And it's like, no, we can't do that. That's not appropriate. That's not right. Let's do, and we're buying these fire trucks for 20, 25 years. Let's do it right and get them done properly. So with that said, do we need approval at this point to go ahead and do that? Is everybody just comfortable with it, or what do you want to do? Sean, what's your thought on it? Do you want an approval for?
Yeah, I would like you to approve that, and we do have about 1.3 million, so, I see the total there was just over 600,000 per apparatus, I guess, so.
Yeah, I don't have the 600,000, 601,077 for one of them, and that's the same one, apparently.
Should be 600312, Rich.
That's
is
what
the other
I,
one.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Bob, the one you printed off for me is the same one I had, and not the other one. All right. So So
I think, yeah.
we're just over
Take
600,000.
action, approve it, and I think we have enough money for it, so.
You think?
Yeah. 1 point, well, like I said, don't go over 650,000 per truck. We'll be all right.
Yeah, we're not gonna. We're
Right.
that's.
And I think it's the right thing to do to, change the valve, paint it the right way, and have it match appropriately according to like what the chief said. So
There probably will be some other things. We're gonna get down there for
Sure.
final, and then the truck is gonna go up to Bolson Spa, to Vandermolen's for final fit up and cleanup. And there's probably gonna be some things that the chiefs and the committee and are gonna see and say, hey, wait a second, let's do this now and do it right. But hopefully we can keep them down at a very, very low cost thing. I think, having the experience I've had with other trucks that I've been involved in is the expensive trip is the mid-construction, because that's when everybody goes, ooh, we should have done this or we could have done that. And that's where the costs tend to escalate. So then at this point, I consider a resolution to modify modify our previous approvals to buy the trucks to include the current change orders as presented on the printout that you got.
I'll make the resolution.
By Nick, do I hear a second on it?
Second.
Seconded by Brian. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Rich,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and Brian.
Aye.
got through that. Second part of my apparatus thing. Thank you, Mark and William, for the data sheets. I've gotten the handwritten data sheets into the computer now, printed them off. There's a couple questions I have. I think they put a blank and ask for an answer on it, and we interpret that as different than what they may want. And in one case, I know that Mark interpreted it far different than I did because he answered a question that had me going, "What? The cab is not made of vinyl." But then I got thinking he's probably answering what's the interior of the cab done in. The interior of the cab is done in vinyl. So I got to straighten some of these out a little bit. And William, my sincerest apologies, but I've gone through all my emails and all my messages, and I cannot find the one you sent me with the miles to be added. And I know you sent it to me at some point. I just cannot find it anywhere. So if you have it still and can dig it up or can get that number to me again, I'd appreciate it. But I'm going to need to go over to Wine and Skill and just go through this with somebody and then pull out both rigs. There is a series of pictures that have to be taken. Adam sent me a series of pictures of 4 to 6, that I think is the entire series, but I got to compare it to the notes and make sure. But I don't have the same from 427, and I got to do the same pictures from 97 as well. So to send this in to the guy, I got to get them. So hopefully I can get that done in the next week or so, and we can get this off to the company for them to look at and say, hey, this is what we think your trucks are worth, or this is what we're considering offering you from. And that's the company that Terry recommended to us at one point that he had done business with, Command Fire Apparatus. So we'll start with them and see what they have to say and then go from there. So again, to William and to Mark and anybody that might have helped them that's out there, I appreciate the effort in getting this finally to me and that we can move forward with that.
I just sent you that mileage, Rich.
Thank you. I promise I won't lose it again. I'll write it down tonight before I close the computer down. David, anything else on the apparatus?
No, just that with the idea that the new trucks will be coming in May, we probably ought to start looking at the idea where we're going to store these other ones in the meantime, once they do come in and the other ones go out of service.
Well,
And maybe whatever Bob can do to pump stuff out there for sale. We may have spare equipment. We may not have some spare stuff. The other question I have is, I'm not sure the power supply for the charging for the trucks, if we need to do anything with the leads for the stations, for the plugins. We may want to make sure we are on board with that. That was a question that we had.
Into the driver's side.
They should be 120 volt drop, but it's going to matter what plug is on the side of the truck. Some of the new Cosmos are coming through with that one prong that's sideways, and I'm not an electrician, so I can't tell you what that means.
Right. Well, I just wanted to get ahead of that a little bit. The other thing I had was that we're still looking at the boat thing, some type of Zodiac type of thing. Brian, you're back up for a while. Hopefully we can get
Couple weeks, yeah.
over there and get some of those guys involved and meeting up so we can kind of go over that idea again. And then, of course, we're looking at Syracuse once we're out there to start looking at some vendors, see who's out there and what's going on.
Good. Any questions for David? Moving on to building and grounds, Dave and Brian.
I don't really have too much. I mean, I've been kind of out of the loop the past couple weeks, deployment stuff still, but
I know
Dave?
Bob's got quite a few things that he's had repaired. The list has been going out on stuff. We'll be having spring cleanups at the stations. I'm sure that'll be coming along again. And then again, the building itself, hopefully we get with Joey in the membership. And then we'd like to schedule an appointment with the architect.
Okay.
But we'll let you know on that when we can schedule that.
Bob, did you have anything you needed to add in there?
I'm all good, thank you.
Okay, I did see the crew out there working in front of the defrosal station today when I went by. They were doing stuff with the planner around the variable message board. So that all looked good, and I'm sure we'll be doing some stuff in front of Wine and Skill if we haven't done it yet or done it already. So that's all looking good, but places are looking good. District personnel, Dan's not with us. Brian, do you have anything?
Nothing, I mean, you already kind of covered the marijuana policy, so.
Okay. Finance, insurance, long-range planning and audit. Dan again is not with us. Nick, you got anything?
I don't have anything unless Sean has something to add, but I'm pretty sure we're good.
Sean,
I
we
do,
good?
am I on here? Yep. Nick, I do have paperwork I need you to sign for PenFlex LoSAP program, okay?
All right.
So I was hoping, I was gonna text you later, see if you're gonna be at drill tomorrow night, and I'll have you signed it then.
Yeah, I should be.
Okay, that was it.
Very good. Moving right along. Policies, procedures, and membership. Brian and Nick. Brian, anything?
Is this the part where you want to discuss COVID stuff or? is that somewhere else?
Probably. It's probably the best place for it, best as any. And then if we identify that there's some that has to go offline and discuss in executive session, we can, but all right, thoughts? Where do we go with COVID, guys? I'm gonna leave it up to you. I'm gonna let you guys open up, see if anybody's got any thoughts. Hearing none. All right, Terry gave us an outline of what he proposed a while back for last month's meeting. And what we implemented since then was probably much more restrictive than what Terry had even suggested. And the discussion that Dan and I had this afternoon while he was driving to Rhode Island was, do we want to back off on that? Do we want to make it a little less restrictive? Do we want to leave it where it is or whatever? I think we had a pretty good discussion on it. One of the things that came up was the CDC guideline that says that small groups, small family-sized groups that have all been vaccinated can be fully vaccinated, which means both vaccines or the Johnson & Johnson vaccine plus 2 weeks, can be in family-sized groups without masks. Well, what's a family-sized group? And that's not defined anywhere, but I would think that the 6, 7, or 8 people that we might have in a cab of a fire truck is about the size of a family-sized group. So the question became, do you think we can at least, the guys have been doing a good job of doing what we asked. They've gotten their shots. They've provided the district or the chiefs and the medical officers with their information. Do we say, hey, now's the time that we can go back to small groups, small family-sized groups. If the executive board or a small committee needs to get together and it's a small, if it's a family-sized group that have all had their vaccine, can we say that they no longer need their masks? That's the discussion.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like sorry, go ahead. If you want to go first.
No,
Nick?
go ahead. You can go first,
Or
Brian.
Dave, I'm sorry. No, I was kind of saying like I've been saying the past couple of days down here is I'm kind of looking at it from like the point how the governor talked about with the whole valve thing. Adam brought President Aki brought up a good point about the food. Right now, we're telling members you got to have the mask on 24/7. Doesn't matter where you are in the firehouse. Doesn't matter what you're doing. However, right after this, they can go down to Applebee's in groups of 4, 5, 6 and eat at least. The majority of the members are vaccinated, which is a good thing. I still think you got to be somewhat cognizant of those who are concerned about the virus. I still think you got to probably make some kind of I don't know what the right word is, but you got to accommodate those who may still not want to come to a drill. Offer some kind of training, but in general, I think you can have your monthly meeting. There was food here. Everybody was still socially distanced. They lowered the mask to eat. Otherwise, they had the mask on, kind of like if you're in a restaurant. I don't see any real issue going to something to that level.
Yeah, food over there.
Pardon?
You guys had food over there.
Yeah, that's what we said earlier, Dave. I thought
Oh,
you were
I
on for.
heard you guys had food.
Yeah, that's why Adam brought up the whole thing. Anyway,
I think it's a good idea if we can go that and still stay safe.
Who's
You know,
I think I was talking.
I'm sorry, Brian's back on now.
Who's-
No, I was answering Dave because Dave
Oh, okay.
said somebody had a question there about food over here. I do see where you should be able to, could be, there are areas where you can maybe perhaps consider lightening the restrictions, so to speak. I've talked to numerous fire chiefs across, at work. Most seem to have a policy to where, like, if you're in the bay training or just working on trucks, mask is optional. Not necessarily, one way or the other. Members' rooms for the most part are still kind of closed for social gatherings. It's you will wear a mask right apparatus to calls. That's kind of what I'm seeing, talking to peers, around the area. But, at the very least, I don't see why you can't serve food here if you can do it at Alexi's Diner.
David,
I tend to agree with, the write-up right now is it says we can't use the kitchen, which I kind of agree. We don't want to be preparing a lot of food and stuff like that. But the idea of we're having our meetings in the engine room, they're opening doors, they're spreading out. And if they want to have pizza delivered and people spread out even farther to grab their pizzas and keep a small group, but I don't know about getting in the trucks and not wearing masks and then getting to the scenes and putting masks on for the public. I think maybe we ought to keep that in place for a little while. Keep our stations maybe a little more lax for small groups that are all shot, that have their shots. And then having some type of a meal type of thing, maybe that they can do an open floor plan with it, an open space like the engine room and having the doors open. I think that's an easy way to go into it for another 30 days and wait again in May's meeting.
I believe that's what, I wasn't at the Free Schools meeting, but I believe that's what they did is they ordered pizzas in and,
Pizza.
there was no food preparation in the kitchen or anything.
Right. Well, I think Wine Skill took it as that no kitchen, no food. So that's what I think would happen there. That's why.
Okay.
But I don't want to see him up there cooking in the kitchen and having a fish fry night.
No, we're not there. I don't think we're there yet, but I just want to see us start to, again, I hate to use that expression, return to normalcy, but that's what it is. We, start to turn the corner back to some form of normalcy, not go rushing headstrong into it. One of the suggestions that Danny had when him and I spoke was that, to use Brian's thought of, opening the valve slightly, was that before we open the valve too far, we get input from our medical director. And the district has a medical director who monitors our EMS programs. We've got the input from our attorney, and I'm sure that will be modified as time goes on and guidance comes out, et cetera. He's shaking his head no, but he will. I don't know what our medical director would say at this point. Not being involved in EMS like I was at once in my life, I don't even know who our medical director is. I don't know who has the best contact with it, whether it's the chiefs or the respective EMS officer from each station or just who it is. But your thoughts on that, folks?
I can't hurt to get some kind of opinion. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm just wondering, what are we going to ask them if we should have meetings with mask on or mask off?
What their thought is on where our firemen should be wearing masks and where they don't no longer need to be wearing masks, and we can offer some specific examples of and I'll use the example that I used in a discussion that I had with Danny, is that there were 3 of us that were down here into Freesville on Thursday night from about 7 o'clock till about 7 p.m. till about probably 7:15 or so, doing an apparatus inspection. And at one point, I was in the cab doing checking the driver's stuff and all that. Somebody else was doing bottles, and as a matter of fact, had to go off into the compressor room to fill a bottle or two. And the third person was checking equipment and compartments. So we were easily 15 feet apart at any given time, but by regulation, all 3 of us needed to be wearing our masks. And that seems a little bit silly or a little bit overbearing at this point. Those are the kinds of things I think we can do, to say, hey, there's the areas I think we can relax and provide our members some benefit. Then we can start looking down the road to, okay, at what point do we allow small gatherings in the members room? Allow 15 guys, people to get together and watch a ball game, because 15 people can sit at the bar in juniors and watch a ball game, but 15 people can't sit at the bar in either fire station and watch a ball game. And I don't understand that at this point.
Well, I take it as 2 different types of things. One's a business that's looking to bring people in to watch games, and we're a fire station that's trying to protect people.
Yeah. But we're also looking to bring people in and give people the social aspect that keeps them interested and volunteering. So,
Right.
you know, they're different. They're the same but different, I guess is my thought.
Rich, can I interject?
Yeah, please do, William.
Like, I'm in full agreement about, the masks, as long as you're in small groups, you don't need them. And, obviously wear them on the apparatus and when you're in public and everything else. I'm just looking at it from the DeFreeseville end right at the moment is in the coming future with all this road construction, I may need people to sit in the firehouse for a little while because we may not get members at the firehouse
Yeah.
because the roads are locked down.
Or
So
yeah,
that's what I'm kind of looking
we may
at.
be encouraging that, especially some of those members that come the further distance. So that was something else I was thinking of is that, it'd be nice if they could hang out here because they can't get to the firehouse otherwise.
Rich, I guess the question we really got to ask is the ones who had their vaccines, the ones who haven't had their vaccine, what do we do then? You're saying that, no, let's not wear a mask on the apparatus. I mean, not right now, but if we go to that, what about the 6 in line skill that don't have their vaccine? What's
They-
going to happen then?
They certainly should be wearing their mask. They certainly should be wearing their mask. And I will tell you that if I happen to know that there's somebody in my small group, there's 6 of us talking, and one of them is wearing a mask because they have not not had the opportunity to get their vaccine, then I'm going to wear my mask too, out of respect for them. That said, there's very, very, very little reason anymore that somebody shouldn't have their vaccine or at least be online to get it. I know the county is running a vaccine clinic just down the road at Hudson Valley, and they were actively looking for people to come get vaccines Saturday because they had too many and not enough people signed up. The age limit has been dropped to 16, which covers all of our active and social members. So unless somebody's got an underlying medical condition that they shouldn't have the vaccine, and those are well defined by the CDC and by medical professionals, or unless somebody's had an active case of COVID within the last, I believe it's 90 days, you're supposed to be 90 days free of COVID before you get the vaccine. Although I know of numerous people that has not been held to by their doctors. Doctors have told them to go ahead and get it. But unless we got people in that ballpark, then we're reaching a point where people should not. If the CDC, here's my thought on if the CDC says that 5 of us don't need to be wearing masks because we've all had our vaccine and we're all fully vaccinated and fully protected, we should not be penalized by having to go above and beyond the CDC requirement because somebody else doesn't want to follow the CDC requirement and getting a vaccine. And there's people out there that just don't want to do it because they don't believe in it or they think it's a tracing agent. You've heard all the conspiracy thoughts. But to answer your question directly, out of respect, if somebody hasn't had the vaccine, people should put their mask back on. However, let's look at why people don't have their vaccines at this point. Other thoughts? Presidents, chiefs, good time for you to chime in, even though it's,
Hey, Rich?
yeah, Terry, go ahead.
No, it's Bob.
Oh,
Sorry, I sound like Terry now. That's bad. Sorry, Terry. We had that small work group, and maybe it would be a good idea that the work group, take a lot of the input from this, put it into, sort of a draft revised guideline, get it out to the presidents and the chiefs and of course the other board members. Because it'd probably be hard to, like tonight, actually hit every area that's going to make everybody comfortable or happy, and at least that way we can take bits and pieces from the guideline Terry provided before that is less restrictive in some areas and try and come up with something in less than a week. I think we could do that.
I didn't think we were going to come up with a solution tonight, but I wanted to try and hit all the bullet points, and that's the only way.
No, correct, right. And I'm just saying, at least that way we spearhead it to a point where now the chiefs and the presidents have something to look at.
Okay, sounds good. I will, without unless there's another objection or somebody's got another idea, I will go ahead and get an email out to all those folks and try and get something scheduled for maybe as soon as this weekend. I'll take a look, see. I don't want to tie up people's weekends with the weather being good, but we'll take a look. Maybe we can do it like Thursday night or something I'll see if I can pull something off to get people together on a quick meeting. How's that sound, everybody?
So
All right, Rich, I think Eric had a comment, he raised his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Eric, go ahead.
That's okay. It's Zoom, so it's hard to see sometimes. I think it just boils down to is some of it's common sense, some of it's obviously medical direction / CDC, and maybe we start differentiating areas in the buildings differently than we have been previously. And the only other thing is that where the there's all these fine lines, and how do you take things too literal or not literal enough. There's 6 people on the meeting in the station right now with no masks. So it's on a meeting and you're social distance. So yeah, but your social distance.
There's 6 people in our station right now without masks?
Between the two.
Oh, between the 2 meeting stations. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
But you're fine. You're on your Zoom call, your social distance, but
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yep. Adam, did you have anything to add while we're talking about this? I know this is something you had a lot of feelings on last time we talked.
Yeah, you're still on. Mark is on.
Hey,
too.
Rich, so just so I got it right, it's gonna be okay to have food in the firehouses, like, I know in May, we're gonna be looking to clean the trucks up like we normally do for Memorial Day, even though we're not gonna have the parade, and usually we put food on.
What we said in the guidance, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, was that the kitchens are closed.
Right,
However, that doesn't say that you can't order in food.
okay.
And I think the intent of the kitchen being closed is the kitchen's closed for food preparation. If you got to use the refrigerator, you got to use the refrigerator. That doesn't mean that there's a padlock and a hermetic seal on the kitchen. It means that
No, I just want to make sure.
We're back to common sense, Chief. We're back to common sense.
Yep.
You apply common sense as you see fit, but there was no prohibition on bringing in food.
Awesome.
What would you do if there was a large mutual aid fire? You'd bring in pizzas. What would it's no different.
I'll have a mutiny on me if I don't.
Yeah.
Dave, just to catch up with you, I think it's well covered. I guess we just got to kind of go down the path of when we get to that time on who's vaccinated, who's not, and how we're just going to handle the situations. Because I know it's going to pop up on my end, on Mark's end, on William's end, and on PJ's end. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I think we should try to start covering our basics now on is what if that one person walks in? I know you say that everybody should be vaccinated, but there's going to be then 1 or 2 people, and how are we supposed to handle that situation is what I'm looking for from you guys. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because we all know there's going to be 1 person or 2 people or 3 or 5 or 10. I don't know. I'm not putting a number on it because I don't know that number, but just, longevity. How are we supposed to handle the situation?
In all instances, I think one of the things we need to remember is that in following the CDC guidelines, if we've got people out there that have not taken their vaccine because they just haven't gotten around to it, or I don't know how to schedule it, we should be helping them do it, encouraging them to do it, doing everything but dragging them out to the car and taking them down there to do it themselves. There's really no reason for people not to be getting their vaccine unless there's a medical reason that that get prohibits from doing it. If they choose not to do it for religious reasons, for political reasons, or for because they've been worked up by so much Facebook hysteria over it, then that's their choice. And they make a choice to be a fireman. They make a choice to not get their shot. They got to make choices. Everybody's got to make choices and decisions in life. But I think we can discuss that more when we get to the small work group back together.
Yeah, just as a heads up. That's all I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm concerned with in the future. You know what I mean? Other than that, I think we're on a good path, and we're all doing the best to our abilities.
Good stuff. Brian, anything else on procedure, or Brian and Nick, anything else on procedures or membership?
Nope. Nothing here.
Nothing from either? Okay, we'll move on. LoSAP, Nick, Brian, Chiefs, and Presidents. We'll start with Nick or Brian.
I have
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nope.
Nothing from anybody. Okay. Nothing on LoSAP going once, nothing on LoSAP going twice, nothing on LoSAP. Special committees, business operations and technology. Nick, you and Dan had that up. You got anything on it?
Nothing that I know of.
No? Okay. Glad to see that I got down here today with my 15-year-old or 10-year-old laptop and it came right up on the internet perfectly and came up on the site. So
I have one thing on that.
what do you got, David?
Talked to Jimmy Oliver. The connection for him is working 100 times better.
Good.
So whatever we did to increase the Wi-Fi,
They changed
speed.
the unit took him burnt out. It was
So
shot.
he's a lot happier.
Yeah, had to replace it.
Okay. That drives me to ask a question because it triggered something in my mind. Bob, where are we or what did we decide to do with regard to printers? Did we decide to actually start to make the change or did we just kind of lay out what we're going to do when we need to? I don't remember.
No, we did sign the contract for the new copier. It's gonna take, about a month, so we should be hearing from Repeat Business Systems soon about getting the new one. The one at the district office now is gonna go over to Skill, and let's cross our fingers and hope that, it's gonna perform a little better than the one they have now.
Good.
And just to Dave's point, two things did happen that increased the speed, the upload speed for Skill. The big one was the approval for putting a new firewall in that allowed larger gig for upload speed. So that was a huge step that is going to help Skill out. And the switch that the chief was talking about was replaced, just a regular router switch. So, this stuff has to get replaced like every 5 years, whether you want to or not. It's the IT world.
I just replaced the router in my own house and I'm amazed at how much more it does now.
Right. So just
Amazing system.
so that's good news though.
Good. Glad to hear it's working. Nothing else under business operations or technology. Moving on, development plan review. Brian, Nick, Chiefs.
No, you guys pretty much covered all the construction going on, and I've not seen anything new from the town over in the box. So,
Okay, anybody else? I was at town hall today taking care of some zoning board stuff, and I got into discussion with I guess he's the heir apparent to Larry's job. They're training him. He's taking over, it appears, all the running of the water districts. Again, I don't know how they're doing it with titling and civil service and all that neat stuff. And I'll be damned if I can remember his first name, but the last name was
Keith.
Hankel. What is
Keith
it?
Hankel? Keith Hankel?
Keith. Thank you, Keith. Keith Hankel. Yeah, I knew he was a Hankel. I couldn't remember the first name. Keith. And when somebody said something to me about the fire district, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're a fire district guy. Let me ask you this question." And I said, "Well, after he asked me the question, I said I'll bring that to tonight's board meeting because I don't know the answer off the top of my head." The town has a contract for new hydrants going in, especially with their 43 project and Peck Road project. And they're also going to be doing some maintenance on a bunch of hydrants. All new hydrants are going to be coming in powder coated, and they wanted to know about color on the caps. And it turned into a good discussion because I told him, and I don't know if Larry remembered all the history of it, but he knew 75 or 80% of it. But the original plan and what was originally in the town code was that the color coding of the hydrants was supposed to be yellow barreled hydrants were town owned, red barreled hydrants were privately owned on private property. And then the color of the caps indicated the gallon per minute flow. Well, running GPM flows on hydrants turns out is very expensive for the town to do. They can't do it with the manpower they have. They'd have to hire a contractor, and it becomes a cost prohibitive thing. So they haven't done it, and they haven't done it for years and years and years and years. And you might remember that I think it was light blue was 1,500 or more. Orange was over 1,000 GPM or more. I don't remember them all. I can't even remember off the top of my head. But red caps were less than 500 GPM. And there was a color coding scheme that told us what the flow was going to be. And what Keith proposed to me was, how about I give you a different color for each size main? And I had the discussion with him that, for example, a 10-inch main on top of Taliska Avenue will not flow as much water as a 6-inch main on Blooming Grove Drive, strictly because of the way the water mains are laid out and the pressure and the elevations. So it's sometimes deceptive. The general thought is the bigger main will give you more water. It's not always the case. That's why GPM is far better. But if they're not going to do GPM at all, and they can't do GPM at all, their choice is to just paint them all yellow. So the question to us is, do we at least want does the fire district at least want the colors designated?
I don't have a problem with that.
I could just leave it as an open question. You guys come back after discussing it amongst yourselves or amongst whatever, or I can get back to them, whatever.
I think it's reasonable.
What about storage fittings on them?
That's all new hydrants are going to have storage fittings, and they've also got a program as the hydrants get the color coded caps. They're also that don't have as they get a color coded cap and they're not storage already. They're going to get storage connection. And they've also hired somebody who has actually started flushing hydrants this year. And what he's going to do is he's writing on the hydrant the actual pressure that he's getting when he's doing the flush. And he's also, at my request today, is also going to be providing us with an Excel spreadsheet of, hydrant number 4 on, Main Avenue at the corner of Lenox Street. Pressure was XYZ, whatever it was. So,
Hey,
again,
Rich.
yes.
Hey, the fire district could just give him an IM responding account and have him have the authorization for the access to the fire hydrants on the spreadsheet on there, so he could just go in and modify them himself if that's what they want to do.
Okay,
So it's all uploaded on there.
William, I'll be dead honest on this one. It's easier for me to get my car and drive to the firehouse and get on the fire truck than it is for me to pull out my phone and trying to figure out how to say, yes, I'm going. So I just come to the firehouse. If you haven't figured that out yet, you don't see me responding on IMR because I haven't figured it out yet. So somebody that knows IMR better than I is going to have that discussion with Keith.
Yeah, I mean, I could have the conversation. I don't care.
There you go. You want to give him a call?
It's easy.
You want to give him a call? That's great. I'll give those guys a call tomorrow and tell them that, yeah, we want to go ahead with color coding based on water main size and to propose something. Give us what you propose. And I'll tell them that you'll be contacting them regarding the pressures that the guy doing the flow testing is going to be doing, how to get them into the system. Sound good?
Yep.
Very good. On to anything else on development plan review, Brian? On to firematic operations. The only thing I have is based on a comment that I think Mark made earlier on, that he's going to have the chiefs are going to have their meeting. In the first quarter, we did a telephone. It turned into a firematic operations a discussion by telephone. We said we're going to do them quarterly. Mark and William, do you want to schedule that before your chiefs meeting, or do you want to do it after your chiefs meeting?
I don't know how Mark feels, but I would say before, because otherwise our meetings go long sometimes. So
No, I'm not thinking the same day, but I'm thinking you guys might come out of your meeting with stuff that you want to discuss with Dave and I. I don't know that him or I have anything right now that we want to discuss with you going into your chiefs meetings. Either way, but I just want to, how quickly we're going to move on the quarterly meeting.
Yeah, that's fine by me. Whatever's good. I know, let's see. I think we said we were getting a date set up on it, so.
I think it was the 28th or something this month.
I think it's,
Okay, I'll try and get something out for the 28th, before the 28th.
Yeah.
And we'll if we can pull that off, we will.
Okay.
Sound good?
yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
I don't think I had anything else on firematic operations. Again, besides the outstanding cooperation that I saw down in Pennsylvania the other day with guys saying, hey, how's this going to work on both sides of town? And every question was like, there weren't questions on how's this going to work in DeFriesel or how's this going to work on Wynneskill. It was how's this going to work in North Greenbush, which was, that really made me feel good. David, you got anything on firematic operations?
I got one thing, and it's kind of the thought process of all the expenses the fire departments have put through for special food and special events, trying to keep the guys motivated. I'm not sure if we're paying this year for the banquet, the 3,300 that we normally
Not
issue.
having a banquet.
Well, what I'm thinking is that may be still good to pass to each department to cover for their expenses as far as the extra drills and meetings and stuff like that, and some of the food. Maybe not all of it, but maybe some of it, because they have been putting on special events towards keeping the guys active.
There's a legal requirement that that money is for an inspection event. So I think we'd have to tie it to an inspection. Now, traditionally, the inspection has been members in uniforms, and I'd ask Cherry to chime in at some point here. After, the chiefs both made reference to spring cleanup. After spring cleanup, maybe the inspection could be the commissioners take a look at the entire fleet and say, the entire fleet has been inspected. Therefore, we're contributing towards your inspection function. And the inspection function can be whatever the company defines it to be. Terry, how quickly will I go to jail with that interpretation?
Well, not quick enough, but inspection is whatever the board wants it to be, and you're entitled to have one banquet for each company. And again, obviously, you've made great progress in having one banquet for the entire district, but it can be whatever you want it to be. Just under the aegis, under the heading of inspection dinner, sponsored by the district.
So
you need to
if
do two,
we were to
it could be
say,
a picnic.
if we were to say, gee, guys, we're going to inspect the fleet on Labor Day weekend, and then we're going to have the inspection clam steam immediately following.
Yeah, you can do that. They don't even have to be, you could do the inspection like, historically you had it before the Memorial Day parade, and
Yeah.
you could have your banquet in
Anytime.
August, July, whatever. So it's just there's an inspection isn't necessarily an inspection of the troops in uniform either. I guess that's the one thing I should disabuse you of that. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Okay. So
I think with the
Can I,
fire trucks
sorry.
and everything up, it might be interesting to do.
I three people talking there. I see
Sorry.
Sean's hand going up. I heard David. Sean, go ahead.
Well, I'm just curious, would it maybe be easier so that the departments could receive this money monthly as they, incur food costs? Maybe we could just amend our budget, transferring the money from the installation banquet, seeing it essentially has been canceled, and adding it maybe to the chief's line so that they can use it for, usually we call it rehab and EMS support for the firefighters. So I'm just curious if that might be an easier route so that they can keep putting it in all, for the rest of the year.
We could do that to some degree, but again, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if by August, some of these COVID restrictions were lifted and we could do a big clam steam for everybody instead of the banquet?
No, I like that.
To
too.
have the money to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Just throwing out there.
So chiefs and presidents, between your executive boards, why don't you hash it around a little bit? And I know you have joint meetings. Why don't you hash it around there and see what kind of proposal you have? That work? Good idea, David. Good idea.
Okay. No, that's the only thing I had on it. Only because I know that both departments have done a great job trying to keep people motivated, and it also helped the businesses in town too.
David, you had indicated to me before the meeting that you were interested in an executive session to discuss a
Yeah, we have personnel
topic of,
and we have a, Terry, how did you want to word that?
apparatus utilization.
Sure.
Okay.
Terry, your mic.
Before we do that, Bob, is there anything on the public session at all?
No.
Nothing on the public session. Okay. Then I thank everybody. Who do we need to stay on for the executive session, Dave? Any of the chiefs, or do you want to just do it with the board, or what do you want to do? I know about what you want to talk about, but I don't know the intricate details of it.
I think the Chiefs can stay.
Yeah, knowing the one topic, I definitely would think the chiefs could stay, but I don't know what the second one is. All right, so